Okay, here is a updated video on the potential for severe weather in the upper Midwest and northern Ohio Valley and Great Lakes on Friday and into the mid-Atlantic and Northeast for Saturday. And we'll start, as I usually like to do, with the surface dew points and pressure. And you can see clearly that we certainly have the high dew point air necessary across the region. And we certainly have the low enough pressure in the region. Here's a 1012 line here. 1008 is back through here. Here's 1004, 1000, and 996 up in here. So here's our low. And very clearly, here is our front coming in like that. So we have the ingredients there, at least at the surface, of plenty of moisture and buoyancy and a low-level lifting mechanism to lift that air up. Looking for our jet, I think it's very clear to see that we do have a very strong low-level jet at 925 millibars. Here we're looking at, what is that, about 45 to 50 knot jet core in there at 925 millibars. Very strong. Now I want you to notice here as we go up to the levels, here's 850, and there's our core there, and here's 300 millibar jet, and a little bit slower streaking across here, but still we're in good shape here as far as some decent divergence goes. It's not as strong as it was yesterday, at least not on this model. This is the NAM, by the way, we're looking at for Friday. We'll have to switch to the GFS for Saturday just because of timing, but the jet's a little bit slower here on the NAM than it was yesterday in the GFS. But I want you to notice in general, though, going up, there's 925, there's 850. It's a pretty well-aligned jet here, so we have a very well-aligned flow with this, and I think we're going to see a good chance of damaging straight-line winds as opposed to tornadoes because the flow is fairly well-aligned. The exception might be in the northern part of Michigan, up in here between the lakes here, where you have the convergence off the lakes. And you can see here, if you notice, the wind is more southerly here in this area than it is down here. Here it's more west-southwest, here it's more south-southwest. And I think up there, that's where you might see enough turning of the atmosphere, the winds with height, to possibly be spawning tornadoes. So it's up in this region up in here that I'm most concerned about tornadoes on Friday. Again, anytime you have severe storms, it could generate its own tornadic environment. So always be alert, but I think in general, that's going to be the prime area right in there. For the possibility of tornadoes. Going ahead here, we'll go through, here's the 850 millibar relative humidity and wind. You see a lot of moisture at that level. Now here's something that's important. We have a nice dry intrusion at 700 millibars here. That's what you want to see when you want to be seeing some strong downdrafts. That's going to certainly be conducive to the straight line damaging winds I was talking about. So that's certainly something in the favor of that in this area here. So we have a lot of ingredients coming together on Friday. Here's our cape, certainly a more than adequate lift, and like I said, we have that surface front, very strong surface front, providing that surface lift. Now the upper level feature, the 500 millibars, which I don't have on this presentation, isn't really all that strong. There's not a crashing heights or anything like that, but I think the low level lift and the low level jet is going to be sufficient to create enough lift with these type of cape values. So that shouldn't be an issue at all. Here is our lift and index values, and you can see here we have -6 to -8 throughout this entire region here. So certainly adequate for severe weather. And bulk shear, again, very strong here up across southern Ontario, and relatively strong in the northern Great Lakes as well. So now we'll go ahead to the GFS and look at Saturday, and again, our very high dew point air across the entire region. Here is our 1008 millibar line here, and very clearly here is our front in there. So, certainly the low-level lift is still there. That's not an issue whatsoever. Now, again, as I was pointing out yesterday, where we do start to see some differences is here's our 925 millibar jet. It's now outrun the surface front. It's way out here now, the jet, at 925, and at 850. It's still pretty decent jet with the front itself, but the strongest winds are offshore as well, and it's kind of split in its maxima core. So we don't have as aligned a jet as we did for Friday on Saturday. Still pretty decent jet though. Looking at 300 millibars. Now here we do have the jet moving up here. We're in the right rear quadrant here, and very clearly we see some very nice divergence here with the winds. So, you know, this area in here is all very nicely diverging as we head into Saturday afternoon. Now looking at the moisture, here we're going to see another difference. Remember I showed you that dry intrusion at 700 millibar yesterday, well, for Friday. Well, here's what we have at 850. Still nice deep layer moisture here. That's what we want to see. But here's 700 millibars that dry intrusion is gone. There's some offshore here, but in the area immediately ahead of the front like we had on Friday, we don't see that on Saturday. Now granted, we are using two separate models here, and maybe when the NAM catches up, it's going to show a dry intrusion as it did on Friday. But using the GFS here, there is not that drying. I mean, there's some drying in here, but not to the degree we saw for Friday. So not saying there's not going to be severe weather. I'm just saying that I think it's going to be more prevalent on Friday out in here than it is on Saturday in here. Is kind of what I'm thinking right now. Here's our Cape, and again, some very impressive Cape values. A lot of lifts going on, so it's not going to take much lift with these buoyancy values to get things to go. And with that upper level divergence, you know, when things do go, they're going to go. But I just think it's going to be more scattered in nature on Saturday as opposed to Friday. And here's our bulk shear for Saturday, and some impressive values here, 40 plus. You know, up in here, 50 plus up in here. So certainly it needs to be watched, and I do think there is going to be severe weather, but I'm thinking the big day is going to be Friday out in here. So we'll have to see what happens there. But that's the latest with this system. Just wanted to update everybody and the video, and hope you're enjoying the forum, and have a good night.